went to do a reading for someone earlier today, and this card fell off of the top. And when I went to pick them up, one more card remained on the bottom, and the two cards that fell were both the Mother and Daughter of Pentacles. And my instant thought was that that was going to connect here tonight. And for the last 30 minutes, I've been walking around shuffling these, and every time I happen to look down, this card is back on the bottom. I don't think this is going to end up in the spread, but I'm convinced that it means something in regard to what's going to happen here tonight. I think I'm going to ask you to cut these again like you did last time.
Okay.
Very anticipation had me all crazy.
That's interesting that you say that, because I feel really tense right now. To me, it almost looked like someone was trying to guide you right where they wanted you to go.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the sense of tension that I feel, it's not this building, it's not the house itself. I feel like there's someone who's really depending on what's about to come through here.
It's important.
It is. They want to make sure that what is said right now is said the right way, so we really can connect into it for them. Now, if that would have been that card that's been turning up on the bottom all night, I would have gone home. This place has so many obvious layers because of all the different things that were here. I mean, the original owner, of course, was a jeweler, and then there was a bed and breakfast here, there was an orphanage, there was a group home for disabled adults. When people come here, they focus on those things. There's something here that's not focused on as frequently
Mm-hmm.
that needs our attention tonight.
The first one that popped up, what does that represent?
That can be tying right into what I said, when your focus is somewhere and it might be worthwhile to put it somewhere else.
I was just looking at the card, and it's funny you said fifth time here. 5 people, 4 chalices for 4 people that have never been here, and then an animal that's different on the actual card.
That's a good point. I mean,
Yeah.
those are... I like to take everything into consideration. I mean, everything could have meaning. So I think that's very valid points.
Yeah.
Everything's worth considering. Sometimes when something comes up, it takes me down a similar road. Every now and then it'll come up and it takes me down a very different road. So sometimes I just walk away from traditional meaning and speak completely from my gut, and that's what's going to happen here. Something that was kept hidden, something that was meant to never be known, a secret. And I've absolutely never gotten that energy here before of there having been any sort of secret. I don't know which end of that this connects to. Am I getting that from the person who was hiding something, or from someone who
Wants the truth to be told.
Correct. I have absolutely no feeling one way or the other about where that's coming from. And all I can think of is, at this moment, I'm not supposed to because I'm supposed to go into this, or we're supposed to go into this piece without any preconceived notions. That is making me emotional. That connects to someone who is very misunderstood. And I feel like I know who that is based on my previous experiences here. I recently started to connect to someone who is down in the basement. And the little things I was able to get in connecting to him go down a very different road from how people tend to feel when they're down there. How they say someone down there makes them feel. Many people will say that there's something or someone down there that makes them feel very uncomfortable. And I'm not going to say what they do at the moment. That might come up on its own.
Right.
But I was starting to feel the last time I was here, when I really started to connect to him more fully, he's making people feel that way because it's all he knows how to do. He doesn't know how to make himself understood. He has a story to tell. And if he were still here alive physically, he wouldn't be able to communicate that in a traditional manner. So this is going to take some work to get this to come through the right way. I am going to say that that sense of tension has almost completely dissipated now. So if that means that what needed to be said was said here through those three.
Like, okay, you got it. You got the message.
Right.
It's in your head now.
Right. So whoever was putting that out there so strongly that they were really depending on the right thing coming through, I think we've done that for them. Now we just need to follow through on it. I'm not surprised that that one didn't come through. It didn't need to. Someone was strongly enough making their message known with the card that kept showing up on the bottom that it just didn't need to be here. That's already validated for me. The intention and focus that comes with this card reminds me of how the first 3 times I was here, I was focused on one thing, one piece of the building's history, and I satisfied that. I figured out exactly what I was looking for. I know how they fit in. This is taking me back to that focused intensity that I put into that. The person who is connected into that whole experience has something else to say.
Like whatever it was that was so important then needs to be brought back up. And I'm even taking it as like, does it need to be brought back up to satisfy this part, this
Maybe.
here? Like, real quick, the person that's associated with this card, is there any sort of connection that you could make with that and the other card? Like because to kind of like put this into your head the way it's in mine, if possibly if somebody that was trying to get that message out was more not necessarily for them per se,
Right.
but more of, when this comes up, this is important. Do not miss this. That energy that we was feeling, the tenseness, could have been the same thing that was manipulating that to happen, because it was more like, this isn't for me because I can get my message across, but this is to help this person that can't.
Right. That just really hit me hard. that's a whole other layer, because in my mind right now, I'm not precisely able to connect their two timelines, but that doesn't mean anything.
Right.
It doesn't mean anything at all. And that could be my mind trying to force something that would seem obvious together. And when has anything ever been obvious?
Right.
Yeah, that hit me really hard when you said that. I think that might be exactly right. So the idea that these two are connected, yet they're different, and these each seem different. In a way, it's like there's four entirely different pieces here.
4 cups.
Right. I mean, sometimes I think this could come out where it tells a whole complete story from start to finish. This isn't necessarily that.
Right.
The pieces may go in order of the house's history, even if they're not connected. Maybe. But I don't feel that this is a start to finish story. These are 4 different things from this house's history that need to be figured out. And the idea that these two are connected in a different way, I can absolutely get behind that.
Help me find my way back before.
So long.
Yeah. Well, it was 2 parts. The first part was
Yeah.
help me find my way, and then it said right, like literally right afterwards to form the full sentence back before. Back before something happened?
I usually see a woman in this room. She clearly has something to do with children. The way I see her dressed, I don't usually associate her with when the orphanage was here. The way she's dressed looks too far back.
Right.
But it could be that this woman was just one of those people that never modernized her appearance. She just could have kept herself
Right.
of a certain fashion. When I see her in this room, she just looks strict. I'm even going to go as far as saying mean. I've always felt that she wouldn't be very nice to the children. Another thing that I've always gotten from this room, I always feel like someone died in that closet.
In the closet?
Yes.
Can you tell if it was a child or not?
I always get that it was a child that died in
You
the
think like
closet.
they were locked in there or something?
I don't think that's exactly what happened. I don't think she locked someone in there and they died as a result.
I think maybe they like could have accidentally locked themselves in and like nobody knew.
Yes, I think it was accidental. The card I kept out was the one where I talked about a secret. And I chose to put with it the 2 cards from earlier today that I felt were connected here tonight. Mother and daughter, I'm taking those at face value for what is represented in the artwork.
Garage?
I don't know if there's a garage or not.
There is.
Yeah, we're by the ambulance.
Yeah, it sits right behind the ambulance.
Oh yeah, yeah, there is.
I don't think you can access it though.
I don't think so.
Is there something significant about the garage? Mold? Somebody's pissed about
Oh my
that.
goodness, you know.
There's fucking mold in the garage. Fix it.
So that's why nobody wants to be there.
That would be one of the greatest things ever.
This is a health violation.
Maybe they own the house and took maximum care of it.
Yeah. Maybe that was like their pride and joy was that garage. It was like, now you fucking people, there's mold in here. 1980s.
1980s, we give no children call.
Were you from the 1980s when you took care of that garage? That was funny. Pleading for help.
This woman looks like she would have taken.
I died very recent. Wow. Wait, what? I've never had that come up here before. That's weird.
How recent?
1980s. That's like technically recent.
It's relatively recent.
You know what I mean? Like, considering like spirits that maybe have been here since the 1800s, if you got a spirit like that, you're like, I died very recent, which would have been the 1980s.
So this woman dressed more of an old style. I don't think she died here. I think her time here was done by the 80s. So wherever she died, I don't think it was in this building. But I think whatever happened during her time here brought her back here. The idea of just looking at her, I think she would have taken immaculate care of everything. So maybe she is the one upset about the I don't. I feel like those are 2 separate pieces. Now she might be concerned about mold in the garage. That wasn't the issue then. Was she out in the garage when something happened to this child?
Oh,
Was
Like,
she outside of the house when something happened?
right. Like, say a kid goes in the closet, gets locked in. She's out just doing whatever it is she's doing out in the garage, and died in the closet.
I want to keep pulling on that thread of this woman being out in the garage when something happened in this room.
Sorry.
Do you get any sort of feeling when you're in the?
Yeah, there's a broken water pipe.
If it says water pipe, I'm.
Just hanging there. Water pipe. I got real dizzy when I stood in here, but that's about it.
Oh, dizzy.
I'm echoing in the garage.
I'm echoing in the garage. There's something about this garage thread. Or is it more, or is it they died in the garage, not in the closet? Can you imagine if somebody gets locked out there or something like that, and they're echoing can be like, I'm screaming?
I was really dizzy in there. I just about.
I don't know. I'm just like trying to make that make sense, but like, because whenever it says I'm echoing in the garage, it makes me think of like somebody's in the garage and they're screaming or something.
Right.
Maybe they died of carbon monoxide poisoning.
You could die by the mold.
Chemical or the mold. You can die from mold exposure.
Is that some bumping bass or is it foot?
I think it's.
That's a car outside at the stoplight. I bet.
They are bumping. I can feel it vibrating the floor.
Demons.
It's probably a reference to the music.
Honestly, like, if you've got somebody that's bitching about the mold in the garage, they're also seeing these hooligans drive by with their loud music and like, demons.
1920s. You're just throwing like arrows at me.
Looks like she wouldn't have been much after that, the way she's dressed.
That how she dressed?
Was she born in the 1920s, died in the 1980s? She around like 60 years old?
Yeah. Born in the 1920s, died in the 1980s.
Okay, if she was born in the 20s, the way I'm seeing her,
She'd be in her 60s. Late 50s, early 60s.
right?
She couldn't be any more than
And
60.
It gives weight to the idea that she never modernized her style.
Most likely.
So you don't even know.
No, like the way that oftentimes with this like type of equipment works, like it's all the time. I feel like it's not always direct responses. It's more of like it'll say something and you're supposed to interpret it and put the pieces together because like the way that these work, they're not going to be able to say like, hey, yeah, you're on the right path here, but it might come up like, hey, most likely.
Yeah.
And you're
Right.
supposed to interpret that.
I feel like she very much wants this out and she's giving pieces, but at the same time, she really doesn't want this out.
Like ashamed of it.
Right.
A secret?
The secret.
Or it's another one of those that it just has to be done the right way.
Because if you go about saying it wrong, it sheds a light on it that's not 100% true. Like, because like if the idea that like she was in the garage and her kid died in the closet, like if you say it one way, it's like, oh, you're a neglectful mother, you're a terrible mother. Or at the same time, what if both happened at the same time? What are the coincidences that like the kid gets locked in the closet and dies, she got locked in the garage, and she's screaming to get out.
I was, for a second, I started to go there too. That's not entirely.
I don't right. That's a lot of pieces coming together. I'm just trying to think of like rational reasons to make this make sense. Because what threw everything was like really like poignant,
Right.
and then just I'm echoing from the garage, which was important because it referenced the garage again.
Right.
So it's important, but I'm trying to make sense of like, if we have this idea or this feeling that somebody died in the closet, why is somebody screaming from the garage? Like, what's going on there?
And I think another reason why she wants this out there so badly, but at the same time she doesn't, going back to the idea that it could all come out the wrong way. I mean, I'm talking about this woman who looks strict. She looks mean. I'm talking about someone who died in the closet. How many people would run with that and say this woman locked her kid in the closet and let them starve to death? That's clearly not what happened to me.
Right, exactly.
That's not it.
Exactly, right.
So that ties in more than one place. I mean, it ties into a secret. It ties into...
Misinterpretation.
Right. I almost feel like she's going to need something like rods to answer some yes and no questions.
I can just go get like one of
Your
them.
own boy.
We could do both. We could just do both at the same time. Double confirmation, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have this vision in my head for what may have happened. I've got parts of it. I don't have all of it.
Okay.
Should we go grab that stuff?
Yeah. So I'm just gonna you can stay up here and record you. I'm just gonna leave this here to see if it says anything.
Is there anybody here?
They all went quiet.
Yeah. Well, we're not good enough for you?
It'll be my reaction to like, I don't know why, but it's always these negative spirits. They seem to want to pick on me for some reason.
That
I'm
is
just-
true. They do seem to.
They do. I don't know what it is. They just like, they come after me for some reason.
I just said the story. Oh, you say so when they're running right up here. Okay. This thing has been quiet the entire time. As soon as you guys start walking back up, it says distorted.
I want to talk to the woman that I see in this room. If you are willing to speak with us, will you please open these as wide as you can?
So I'm going to just spam no twice. No for the third time.
That took an unnaturally long time for these to open.
Mm-hmm.
They were stopping along the way, and it actually felt to me like they were being resisted. I felt like someone was trying to stop these from opening. And all of the no coming through there.
No for the fourth time.
It's like someone doesn't want.
Make that fifth.
Someone doesn't want her to talk. I'm sorry, but you're going to let her talk. It's time. This has sat far too long.
Said yes after you said twice. Yes, twice.
I'm talking to the lady in the room. Will you please bring these back to center?
Wow, that was fast.
You can either open these wide or you can cross them. Please show us what you'd like to use to say yes. Please bring them back to center. And now show us your no. Yeah, that was much more smooth that time.
Mm-hmm.
I think she, whatever was standing in her way, has taken a step back. I'm not going to say gone away.
I don't know what that was. Kind of sounded like it was in the house, though.
Yeah, that wasn't a
Yeah.
noise in the street or something. Am I right about your appearance, that you lived later than what I'm seeing based on the way you were dressed? Uncross, please. When you lived in this house, did you have a daughter living here with you?
It's funny because that on both answers that you got was yes. That's one no both times. Now one yes.
I feel like she's answering on here, and
Somebody
the
else.
man who said Sadie's name is answering on there.
No.
Was Sadie the name of your daughter?
Tenfold. Tenfold.
Uncross, please. Did Sadie die in the closet?
No.
Back to center, please.
That also said no.
Did Sadie die in the garage?
Echoes from the garage.
Stay here.
Yes, that also said yes.
Don't stay here.
Don't stay here.
Uncross, please.
I think the male is not happy.
Did something happen to Sadie in that closet that led to her death?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
That's what we heard earlier.
Uh-huh. It's the exact same noise.
What the hell? Like, that was loud.
It was loud. I thought it was back here where he's going.
That was 100% back there.
Yeah.
That's what we heard earlier.
That was 100% back there. Like that was like super loud.
I don't know if it came from the hallway or the next bedroom.
Right. Something is agitated right now.
Were you in the garage when something happened to Sadie in the closet? Uncross? Did you come in the house and you couldn't find Sadie?
That has just been spamming no.
Uncross? Were you going through the house yelling her name? Uncross. You came upstairs and you heard a noise from this room.
Yes, and then immediately back to no. No.
Was Sadie in the closet because she was hiding from you?
Yes.
Uncross. You were out in the garage putting something in the car. You were getting ready to take her somewhere. She was hiding because she didn't want to go. You were taking her to see her father?
Yes.
She had a medical condition. She had a seizure while she was in the closet. The way she was sitting, her head was positioned in a way that her airway was constricted. At the top of the stairs, you heard her gasping for air. You knew it was coming from the closet, so you opened the door and found her.
Focus.
You picked her up and carried her downstairs to the car to take her to the hospital. You got her in the car, and that's where she died. She died in the garage. She feels guilty over her death, and the father never got to see her. She was on her way to see her father for the first time in many years, and he never got to see her because she died But she didn't want to go see him. I don't know why she didn't want to go see him. I don't need to know why she didn't want to go see him. She didn't want to go. There's just so much pain there all around. I'm just gonna go for it. Did you take your own life shortly after that? That happened in the garage? I don't think I need to know how she did it. I don't think that matters.
Right.
I can see it. I do know, but I don't need to say it out loud. It won't change anything.
Right.
It won't help her.
Wrong. Wrong.
Wrong.
Maybe you do need to.
Just you close yourself in the garage and leave the car running.
Yes.
Was that your original intention when you went in there?
No.
Were you going to go confront Sadie's father because you blamed him for what happened?
I wonder if he's the one trying to keep the story from coming out.
I would assume, by the way that this is going. Otherworld. Otherworld?
I don't know what to do with that. From the story you just confirmed for us, do you understand now that blaming him for what happened to Sadie is not reasonable?
Victim of his own insanity.
Victim of his own insanity.
You understand you shouldn't blame him for what happened to Sadie directly, but you can blame him for what happened before.
Just spamming yes.
Arthur.
Arthur?
Got his name?
Is Sadie's father's name Arthur?
That one yes twice.
This was very hesitant to answer that. I'm asking her, I'm not asking him. Was Arthur what you would consider insane? That's why he wasn't allowed to see her. And then something changed where she was going to allow him to see her. And she blamed herself not only for not being in here when what happened did, but had she not agreed to let her see her father, she wouldn't have been hiding from her.
I went yes, and you didn't really ask the question, you just stated it.
Right. I can hear some of the things she said. Sadie having a medical condition. She often looked at her when she would get frustrated. She would get frustrated with Sadie and she would say, you're the way you are because of your father's bad genes. She would say hurtful things to her. So the way I initially interpreted her as just being mean. She was. She said horrible things to this girl.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it led to this girl's death. I have no reason to want to help her move through her guilt. I hate to say that, but hearing some of these things that she said.
Like maybe we had it backwards. Maybe Arthur's been the one trying to get the truth out, and she's been the one that's been manipulating it.
Maybe we had it backwards. Maybe we just assumed that it was her, and it's been Arthur trying to get the message across the whole time. Because he's the one that's the bad name was on.
Right. And if he was insane at the time, I don't know that insane is technically the right word.
Mhm.
He definitely had some sort of mental illness.
Right.
He wasn't insane.
County? Was he ever committed? Commit like a county?
Arthur, I'm talking to you now. Did you ever end up in some sort of facility? It's like these are very unsteady, like someone doesn't want. I think you're right.
Severe mistreatment.
Severe mistreatment. Oh, I got one right. I'm proud of myself for that one.
Experience.
This is experience. Thank you.
Scaling this back from insanity to mental illness. I know from having connected to so many spirits who dealt with mental illness when they were alive.
Yeah.
Once they've passed on, it's often like something that was in their head that could never be quiet when they were alive. It's quiet now.
Right.
They have clarity. They have understanding. I feel like that's the case here. What was wrong with him, he couldn't help it. It wasn't his fault.
Right.
But for her to act the way she did and to say the things that she said, that was a conscious choice.
She chose to do that.
Right. She chose to. What was it? Extreme.
Severe mistreatment.
Severe mistreatment.
That experience.
She chose that on her own. That was a conscious choice.
Yeah.
I'm speaking to her. Do you regret your actions? Does that say no?
I said no. Did Arthur just answer that question?
I believe she does regret her actions because she has nothing to gain by just saying yes, unless that just makes her feel better.
I don't know. Like, I feel like it could go a couple different ways because, like, as we've seen, like, depending on who we're directing the questions towards, we either get, like, sometimes we'll get confirmation with this, but a lot of times also it's like arguing.
Right.
So it's almost like I feel like they're still arguing.
Right.
So it's one of those things to where it's like I could see it both ways. Maybe she does, but then again, it's like you're still arguing. Like if you felt bad for what you did, like you're at fault. Why would you still be holding on to that anger and stuff towards, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's just the way that I would feel. Like if I did something wrong and, you know, I'm not going to sit there and continue to argue with my wife about it. You know, if I did something wrong, I'm going to be like, hey, I'm sorry. I was wrong.
Right.
But that's not what's happening here. You know, she's saying she's sorry, but then she's also like arguing with him, it seems like.
Maybe she's sorry, but she still don't want it out though. She's embarrassed for it to get out.
There's a possibility too. I can see it a few different ways. I don't really know.
For his sake, it needed to come out. I'm really having a very hard time connecting to her on an empathic level.
Right.
I
So to me, I would read that as like if you don't connect with somebody, is there a feeling there?
Right.
You know what I mean? Or is it just simply like,
Is there also, not to say it like this, I guess, but you know how we was downstairs and we made a comment, there's not really a like really powerful negative energy in this space, or at least that it doesn't like necessarily feel that way.
Right.
It's like, is like, not saying that she would be, but is it that kind of stuff right there that keeps from entities like her gaining more power? Because this whole thing is still
Maybe.
kind of entrapping her,
Right.
like in kind of like weaning on her potential of power. Because if he needs the story to get out to lessen his ties to her, you know what I mean?
Right.
But then we also help her and say, hey, you can let go or whatever, and it does. Is she just going to go back to doing what she did when she was alive and just fucking Arthur is wounded. What the fuck?
Did she ever physically attack you?
Iron fixtures.
iron fixtures? Did she hit you with something?
Head injury.
She hit him in the head.
My question is for her, and I really need you to answer this honestly. When you went after him, were you in any sort of physical danger?
It's very reluctant.
She wasn't in any sort of physical danger. That means she just did it because she was essentially a monster. I think she was just an angry person.
Right, yeah. She used his illness to take advantage of him.
Right.
Is that what got you committed?
That's going to be my next question.
That's immediately where I went. As soon as that went, I just felt that needed to ask, so sorry.
No, I'm glad you did. No, you don't ever have to apologize for that.
Indubitably.
Indubitably. Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. That's a big. I'm glad I understand what that word means, because like,
Close enough for your water.
you know what I mean? If I'd have been an idiot, like, oh, what does that mean?
My goal this week is to work that word into a reading.
Desperation for connection.
Desperation for connection.
That to me is Arthur right there.
Yeah, that felt hard. That felt like Arthur.
Arthur, are you with your daughter now? I didn't even
You
finish
didn't
the
even
question.
finish the question. You went to yes.
Sadie, this question is for you. Do you understand everything now?
I said yes, and that hasn't went off in a minute.
What happens next is up to them.
I thought the same thing. I was gonna say we should, at this point, since we can't seem to get the right feeling of what is, maybe we should just ask them directly.
Arthur, are you and Sadie going to stay together now? Just the two of you.
Died in this area.
Died in this area. When you're talking about Sadie.
I feel like they just told us that Arthur and Sadie are going to stay together and it's just going to be the two of them.
Right.
So what that means for her. I'm speaking to Sadie's mother. Did you really take your own life? I felt the need to ask the question again because I almost feel like she's too mean and selfish to do something like that.
Right.
Like she'd just continue existing in hopes of an opportunity to make someone else
We may,
miserable.
and the thing is, we may not be 100% right at that right now. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'd be okay if we continue down this road later. You know what I mean? Like if it really does connect to something that we're getting ready to start doing,
Right.
and it doesn't end up being that, then that's fine. Maybe she's not trying to argue as much. Maybe, she does feel sorry, but he can't let it go.
Right.
I don't know.
And
I feel like it needs more work before we can really put an answer to that.
They also said Sadie knows the truth, so maybe she's angry at her mother.
Maybe in life, her mother kind of was manipulating her in a way, and maybe in death, it's now her father. Because if he spent so many years under her thumb, maybe now he wants to get that time back with his daughter that he didn't get.
Right.
I don't know. I'm just saying, I feel like there's a multitude of avenues. Real quick, before we go, Gage, tell him what you Googled and showed me.
I googled is dizziness the start of a seizure? It said yes, dizziness is normally the onset of a seizure.
And that's what he said he felt as soon as he walked in that
And I
closet.
was curious. I said I don't normally get dizzy, so I just walked in there. And that's
For her to have had a seizure to pop into my head, that's very specific. It's very specific.
Well, yeah, the fact that he said that before any of that.
Right.
Whenever he showed me that, I was like, I got to bring that up. I didn't open the closet door. What?
I'm gonna grab.
I was standing here.
Adventurer?
I was standing here. I heard a door creak.
Accident.
Accident?
Even if I stepped around it, I don't do anything.
You know if there's any history of somebody falling down the stairs? Memory?
I don't know that for a fact if there was or wasn't a history of.
He's standing right next to the stairs, and it says accident.
Like, I mean, I opened it. Like, I did this.
Write it down.
Cause it was shut like this when I walked up here.
That's important. What
Yeah,
I
it
just
is.
said was important.
It was shut like this, so I went like this. And I left it.
Oh, yeah, what the hell?
That's why I don't know if it was this door or one of the ones around there.
Thomas. Somebody's named Thomas here?
It's the only door that creaks. I was standing right next to it.
Thomas, is that your name?
I didn't touch it. And it wasn't moving, but it creaked.
An accident.
Ooh, in case of fire.
I wonder if
The REM pod hasn't went off since we got here.
not since we've been up here.
Yeah.
It's still on. I came down here to look to see if it's still on. This door was partially shut, so I opened it. And I left it. I was sitting like that. And I was sitting here for like a minute because I just stood here and was looking in the room, and I heard a creak. Like it was a good one. It was just like this. It was probably that long. Surprised you guys didn't hear it.
No,
You're mid conversation.
Yeah.
I wonder if kids weren't playing at the top of the stairs and one of them fell.
Wonder if this was like, I don't think this might not have been like this the whole time. So if you think of if more at this height of banisters,
Yes.
because his house is like that, because it's an old Victorian house.
Right.
And I get so surprised because the thing is only about this tall. It's like somebody could easily fucking.
Right.
That's what I mean. So somebody could easily, a kid could easily hop over that.
Right.
And
By a cliff.
right, that's what I meant.
Right.
That's what I meant. If this wasn't like this the entire time this house has been like that, if at one time there was just a little bit of a banister, maybe also that's what prompted them to do this. That's a horrific thought, but
That's horrible.
if you had a kid that jumped off of this banister and died, wouldn't you
Oh, absolutely.
do everything? They even put a door on it. How many times do you see a door just on the stairs?
Peeking around the corner,
peeking around the corner.
As I like looked around the corner,
Yeah.
and I was looking at something very specific.
Every time you go back to that, it says something.
I'm focused on this again. The man I've started to connect to in the basement, who is obviously mentally challenged, I don't think he was here specifically when this was a home for mentally challenged adults. I think he was here at a different point in this house's history. And I think he's going to be one of the pieces that brings two seemingly unconnected pieces together. I only ever get him in the basement, but I think he might connect to what happened at the top of the stairs.